guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm going to be doing a top 5 Christmas movies. Now last year I did a top 6 Christmas movies, and those were my favorite, pretty much all-time movies. And I did say I couldn't do 5 because there was just too many of them, and even 6 was hard to just stop at 6. So I figure let's do a video of kind of like my secondary choice of 5 more that I would normally watch during this time of year, sometimes even when it's not during the Christmas season. Anyways, let's start off with Christmas with the Cranks. Now this it's interesting. There's a lot of big names in it. I mean, you got Tim Allen, who's found himself into quite a few Christmas movies, especially like the Santa Claus. There's Dan Aykroyd in there. Cheech Marin is in there. Jake Busey, not Gary Busey. Jake Busey, his son. The boy from, what was it? Malcolm in the Middle, I think it was, or one of those TV shows. So there's quite a few characters in this movie, quite a few actors in this movie. The thing that's cool about it, though, is it was actually written by John Grisham, who typically would write more like the suspense style law. Like, most of his books are on law, and so around court cases and stuff like that, because he's a lawyer. I don't know if he's still a lawyer or if he's a retired lawyer, but anyways, so he ended up writing a story called Skipping Christmas, and they took that concept and made it into this movie. And it's interesting because it kind of has sort of like a Scrooge feel to it, where you got the one family in this case, or couple, who decide they're not going to celebrate Christmas this year, go on a fancy cruise, and just enjoy their time. Mainly because their daughter is now grown up and has moved on to university, out of state. And so he kind of does the math in his head. It's like, we spend I think it was $6,000 or something on Christmas. He's like, we could take that money, forget about Christmas, go on a cruise, think about ourselves, just have fun. And of course the community doesn't like that, because they're in a community, they're on a street where everybody puts up their Christmas lights, everybody decorates all at the same time, they put up their Frosties, it's like everybody's on the same page. So now you got this one house that's kind of black because there's no lights on it or nothing, and it's driving the neighbors crazy. And what really makes this the story turn around is the daughter decides she's going to come home for Christmas, and she's bringing a boyfriend. And so now all of a sudden, he's got to turn everything around and make Christmas into the house, after he's pissed off all the neighbors, of course. So, really interesting story. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is even in it. The second movie I want to talk about, similar in concept, and that's The Family Man. Now, The Family Man is obviously a kind of a remake version of It's a Wonderful Life. And funny enough, I don't think I've actually watched It's a Wonderful Life. I know the story, I've probably watched bits of it on TV, but I don't think I've actually sat and watched it from the beginning to the end. I've seen some of the other more classics, like A Miracle on 34th Street, and obviously Scrooge and all that. For some reason, I just never saw this one movie. But The Family Man is kind of the same idea. Different take on it. They kind of do the glimpse concept where it's Nicolas Cage, so he's a stuck-up businessman kind of idea, who lives on his own in his condo, has women coming over all the time, perfectly happy with his life. I mean, he's not miserable, he's not sad, but you do learn about his past, and that he did have a girlfriend when he was, just before he became big into the whole business world. And it was, I guess, a decision on whether she should board a plane and go to school overseas, and they thought they would still be able to make it work, and of course nothing happens, and they both do their own thing. So you kind of learn that there is something there in his past that is missing. And so what this movie tries to do is say, well, what if she never boarded that plane? What if they became a family together, raised children? And it's kind of fun because he wakes up one morning and he's in this house, he's married, he has no idea what's going on, he's got kids, he's got a dog, the wife is all tired and, bags under her eyes and rushing to get coffee, and it's like, what's going on? Then he finds out he's a tire salesman because his wife's father owns this tire company. And he's like, you know, that's my life. I'm a tire salesman. I live in this tiny home with like with kids and a dog, and at first he hates it. I mean, he really hates it. He wants to go back, um, but the guy that tells him about his glimpse, he says, no, you gotta kind of you gotta live this life, and you know, when the time is right. So obviously the unexpected is that he starts to really enjoy it, and he really thinks about his life as this is actually, you know, as stressful as it could be. He finds it, I guess, more happy being with people, being with family, being with his kids, being with the dog. You know, he finds the life comforting, whereas his other life is a little bit more stale. Now there is a quite a bit of a scene where he's trying to have both worlds, and I kind of like that. I like how he tries to make both work, where he tries to go to the place where he originally worked. He tries to get in there. He does a pretty good job of, you know, getting his butt in the door and potentially getting a job and potentially starting to turn his life around so he can have the best of both worlds. But of course that fails, because you can't be that big executive like he was and spend time with the family. So there's a trade-off. And you know, of course, in the end, he goes back to his normal life and goes to find his girlfriend. Now that's pretty much just me running through the movie, but that's how it pretty much is. Now the next one I want to talk about, again, not necessarily a Christmas movie, but everybody seems to consider it, and that's Die Hard. And I just watched it again. I mean, it's not something I watch every single year on Christmas. I don't make it a habit to say I'm going to watch Die Hard every year. But this year I decided I'm going to watch at least part 1, part 2. I tried to watch the third one. I got kind of halfway through it. But I liked it. I like Die Hard. I like, you know, it's Bruce Willis at his finest. It's just the right amount of action. You got Alan Rickman in there as Hans Gruber. And the reason why it's really a Christmas movie is because it takes place on Christmas, and it's during a Christmas party. Now, the thing is, I mean, once the action starts, the Christmas element just kind of fades. Like, it's no longer about Christmas. They don't talk about Christmas, or you see like the odd ornaments, and you see a tree in the background, but it just turns into a full-on action movie. Just like the second one, where it's at the airport, and it's, you know, just turns into a full-on action movie. But technically it happens around Christmas time, so I think it's fair game. And you see a lot of people today, they post memes. You know, my Christmas doesn't begin until I see Hans Gruber falling off the Nakatomi Tower. I've seen ornaments of Bruce Willis in the, in the air vent, and he talks about feeling like a TV dinner. You know, so people do embrace this as a Christmas movie. Even some people show pictures of, say, Walmart, where they have Die Hard movies in the Christmas section. So, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. The next one, again, a little bit more on the adult side. I'm finding that a lot of these are not really geared for kids. These are more for the older crowd. And that's Bad Santa. I know it's a weird concept that you're going to have this Santa Claus who's actually a real jerk. And that's what kind of makes it work. And, you know, it's Billy Bob Thornton playing the role. And I think he does a really good job in being that kind of drunk person who really just doesn't give a damn anymore about his life. Kind of just going through the motions, and that's it. And he's a really good safecracker. He's really good at, you know, stealing. And so him and his friend, who plays the elf, will get into a job where they're in a mall Santa, and then just steal from the store that they work in. Of course, they get all the inside, they get the keys to the thing. You know, it's an intricate process that they have to go through to, you know, find out when, I guess, the security leaves so they can get to the safe, crack it open, and get out. But what makes it good is the contrast between Bad Santa being Billy Bob and the kid that he ends up getting mixed in with, who, you know, little snot-nosed, curly-haired, tubby kid who obviously is having family issues, kind of attaches to him. And in a weird way, he kind of gets attached to this kid. He tries to not be like that. He tries to not give a damn. But throughout the movie, you see him starting to like, you know, damn it, I kind of like this kid now. And he's not that style of person. He just wants to be left alone. But now he gets himself involved. But the other thing is he sees that the kid has, you know, this home. He's living with this grandma that's usually tuned out, probably drunk all the time herself. And he sees an opening. He's like, you know, I could steal from these people or something. He sees an edge, but then he doesn't take it in the end. So, you know, it's an interesting story. I would never recommend this for kids. It's full of swearing. It's got, you know, sex scenes and all that stuff in there. Totally for adults, and that's fine. I mean, we deserve Christmas movies too. The last one I want to talk about, again, it's kind of a Christmas movie. It's kind of not a Christmas movie. And that's Edward Scissorhands. I remember seeing that in theater. I don't know why I liked it so much. I mean, I think I went to see it a few times in theater. And I wasn't, you know, it's not because of Johnny Depp in it or anything like that. At that point, I didn't really know too much about Johnny Depp. I knew him from, say, Nightmare on Elm Street, where he played the boyfriend who got sucked into the bed. So I wasn't really too familiar with Johnny Depp's work. But watching Edward Scissorhands, I mean, the character he puts on, and the thing that's great too is that it's a Tim Burton film, and so it's really dark. It's kind of, I don't know, there's something to Tim Burton's films, just like the Batman movie and stuff. You know, there's a lot of elements in there where you're like, it just feels dark, but at the same time, there's this kind of, it takes place during the Christmas season with the snow and stuff like that, and Winona Ryder's in there, and you know, just there's a lot of things going on that just, it makes it eerie, but at the same time it's fun. So I don't know, it's one of those weird movies. The concept is interesting too. It's Vincent Price is in it, who creates this human, almost like a Frankenstein idea, where he creates a human, but he doesn't finish his hands, so he puts these pair of scissor things on. Interesting concept. I don't know how they came up with that idea, but they did, of let's give him scissors for hands. And of course, the old man dies before he can complete the hands, and so he's living in this dark, castle-y type of home by himself for many years. Obviously, there's a lot of questions involved, like how does he eat? Where does he get food? Does he even need to eat? Does he go to the washroom? There's a lot of questions that you kind of have to forget and just go with the flow, go with the story. But what really happens is that the neighborhood saleswoman, the Avon lady, actually decides to go to his house because she's low on sales, meets him, and brings him into the town where he's now interacting with these everyday normal people who see him as a freak because he looks like one. He's black, he's got his hair all messy, he's dark, he's pale white, he's got scissors for hands. Like, he looks like something from a horror movie. He doesn't look like something you'd want to bring home to your family. But that's exactly what she did. She brings him into the family, and he tries to interact, he tries to be normal, but then, of course, all hell breaks loose, and the town hates him, and they kind of chase him away. Very similar to the Frankenstein concept, where now we gotta burn him down. You know, they like him in the beginning, they treat him like normal, he's cutting their hairs, he's sculpting, but at the end, you know, he ends up trying to defend Winona Ryder's character, and kills one of the kids, and now he's a villain. Great movie. I always wondered if they would have made a second one, but no, it never happened. It's kind of like Beetlejuice meets Christmas. I don't know. It's a strange movie. It's its own thing. Anyways, yeah, those were my 5 choices. I could have come up with a bunch more, like Home Alone and stuff like that, but those are very typical. Everybody knows Home Alone. Everybody watches Home Alone. So I wasn't going to go too far into like every single movie. Anyways, let me know what you think of my secondary choices, and I would like to hear yours down in the comments below. Hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.